Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about The Royals Season 2. So, Season 2 picks up about 2 months after the events of Season 1. The twins have lost their title, Cyrus is now the king, and Helena is behind all of this. Season 2, in my opinion, is really good, but it's not as fun as Season 1. Season 1 was just like insane. Season 1 was very like saucy and everything. Season 1 was like Season 1 was just like, wow, man. Like all the crazy stuff that they did, all the like scandalous stuff. It was very scandalous and everything. Whereas Season 2 tried to be a bit more mature. Season 2 tried to be a bit more tamed. Still had its comedic bits here and there, but it was less scandalous and everything. This is like the shift the show started to take, especially with season 3 and 4. It started to be more dramatic. There were stakes, and it's more of an investigation of who killed King Simon and stuff. Even though at times that kind of gets sidelined for other stuff. There's still personal drama. There's still love. However, a lot of the things that made season 1 so entertaining have just been kind of just, I don't know, just watered down. And the whole Liam, Ophelia, and whatever that one lady's name was that with the love triangle between them and stuff. Like all of that is just gone. Because like I said before, like a lot of people left from season 1. Well, not so much a lot, but like a couple. At least, 4, maybe 5 people left. And some of these people were very integral to like these main characters and stuff. Why exactly did they leave? Nobody knows. I still speculate it could be because of like the creator of the show who later got fired for like misconduct stuff from over 20 or like 40 something people that worked on this show, to where he got fired at the end of season 4. And so because of that, they had to bring in a couple of new stars and stuff. And so these new characters, it's weird. It's like they really don't bring much to the table, at least in season 2. Some of them bring a whole lot more in other seasons. But the craziest thing is I've noticed something with this season. A lot of the newer female characters and some of the recurring female characters, not the main ones, but the recurring ones from last season, and a lot of the newer ones this season, they tend to disappear in season 2 once they get introduced. They're like there, but then all of a sudden they completely tap out the show, and then all of a sudden they're back somewhere in the middle, and then they disappear again, only to return for like the finale area. And it's just kind of like, where the heck are they? Why are you introducing these characters? How are they supposed to be integral to the story if they're just disappearing from the show? Once again, I truly believe it's because of the showrunner and everything. It's just too much of a coincidence, especially now what we know about this show and his misconduct from this and One Tree Hill. And it really does like water down and weaken the story and the plot. So they always had to go in different directions. Also, one of the funnest things, Princess Eleanor and Jasper, they rarely interact this season because she's extremely pissed off at him because of what happened when he slept with her mother and stuff. Also, I've noticed they tried to redeem some of these characters. They tried to redeem Helena, and some kind of way they do try to redeem Cyrus. They kind of try to redeem Cyrus's children and stuff. And it's just kind of like, why are you doing this? Like, they need to be antagonist type characters and stuff. There need to be scandalous type characters. Yes, they still do bad things, but not as bad as before. And it's just kind of like when you see that happening and then you start to see some storylines getting dropped and reworked and everything, it makes it less fun than what season one was. But it is still a good show, and it's still a very interesting show and a mysterious one. Like, who killed King Simon? You will probably guess who it is if you remember hearing this one throwaway line from season one, but other than that, you really don't suspect nobody. And how they written like Ophelia out, heartbreaking, man. Like, why did she have to do that to Liam? Like, he went all the way to New York, and stuff. Also, like I said before, Liam's bodyguard from season one is completely gone. So something had to happen between some of these stars and like the creator, the showrunner and stuff, because it doesn't make no sense for it to be such a wishy-washy kind of season where people are disappearing, unless they had other projects. But who the heck knows? You know what I'm saying? Mark Swanson is seriously, seriously a horrible person. I do wonder if they would have got rid of him sooner, would some of these female characters would have lasted longer on the show. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Also, there's probably a reason why the show started getting more dramatic and less scandalous and everything. It's probably because, it's an American show and it depicts the royal British family. And so, like, with it being so scandalous, they take the royal family very, very seriously over there. So people probably did not like it. But I love the first season. I just thought the first season was just like some of the craziest things I ever saw on television. But anyway, like I said before, season two picks up 2 months afterwards of Simon's death and everything in season one. And so King Cyrus and everything, the twins still don't have their title. And they don't have no like bodyguard protection and stuff. Eventually, Helena convinces Cyrus to reinstate it, but they basically have to kiss his ring. Liam doesn't want to do it, but Eleanor does it, and Liam is very shocked, but she tells him, they're on the outside and they need to be in the inside because they need to figure out, like, if Cyrus really killed their supposed father and stuff. And so this is a great way for them to keep tabs and spy and do an investigation of who really killed them and stuff. So after a while, you think they're going to do like all this detective type stuff, but they kind of really don't. Eleanor kind of just does her own thing, love-wise and everything, and spirals completely out of control before finding her way towards the end. Whereas Liam is starting to become the man King Simon wanted him to be. He is starting to be a person of the people, a true king of the people. So much that they look at him as king and not Cyrus. Cyrus, I assume, will be doing the most wicked, like nastiest, craziest, evil thing as king. And while he does here and there, it's mostly just Cyrus going through like cancer in a very comedic way. And then he falls in love with the woman. For some reason, she's just in love with him and stuff. And also, he has to deal with the whole baby mama drama from the maid from last season. Helena is in a battle with Cyrus trying to be the true monarch and everything. She's trying to take the power of succession away from him, and it's being quite difficult, which brings the prime minister into play. Jasper is trying to like get Eleanor back, But there's a complication. Somebody from his past in America has made their way to jolly old England and have befriended Eleanor. And we find out the real reason why Jasper is there. Also, we get a revelation into who killed King Simon and an organization that's trying to take the royal family down. It's a whole lot mysterious this season, and I can respect that and everything. So, let's go down and do some character profiles. I'll start with Cyrus's daughters. They might be twins, might not. Honestly, I'm not sure, but one is older than the other because, one has to be born before the other one. And so they're a heck of a lot different than that of last season. No longer are they acting like hags. No longer are they acting like idiots. And more importantly, they're not like assaulting people who are passed out drunk. Thank God for that. And so Princess Penelope, who's the oldest and everything, this was crazy, right? They're barely in this season. Now, technically they was barely in season 1, but they was in season 1 a heck of a lot longer than that of season 2. They're literally in no more than 2 or maybe 3 episodes, and it's very, very brief. I would assume we would see a whole lot more of them because Cyrus is now king and everything. And remember, Penelope really wants Cyrus dead so she can take over the kingdom. However, they have a very minute role. Penelope, who's played by Linda Rose Bewley, she's just there to take care of her sister. Her sister went through a whole body transformation, liposuction, a facelift, plastic surgery out of everything, you know what I'm saying? So she's in a full body cast. So her sister has to take care of her. And she doesn't like doing that. Then all of a sudden, there is like a man this season. So this guy, Nigel, he's like a politician who's anti-monarchy and stuff like that. But he strikes a deal with Helena and ends up dating both of like the princesses and stuff. But then he doesn't like Nigel 1 because like they're just like horrid type people. And so he ends up falling for both, and Nigel 1 knows that, but he can't stand Nigel 1 of them because he just thinks they're like, insufferable and everything. Now, after her sister, takes the body cast off and we see the new sister and everything, we see a very vulnerable side to Penelope. She looks at her sister all skinny with blonde hair and is all like, now that you look popular and everything, and like, will you forget about me? Because she has insecurities about her own looks and stuff. Because people don't find them very flattering. And I think her sister reassures her that, they're sisters for life and she'll never give up on her. In a very interesting twist, the guy who liked both of them, we see the remarks he makes to the other sister indicating he likes her more, but he ends up liking Penelope and asks her out on a date after they find out that he's been using both of them. But Penelope goes off with this dude, and supposedly they are happy because they got written off the show and everything. And it was interesting that he chose the bigger twin because he acted like he didn't like neither one of them based on like the looks and stuff like that. So that was a nice touching moment that even though the other twin lost all this weight and plastic surgery to make herself perceive to look better, he chose the one that people don't like the way she looks and stuff. Now, Princess Maribel, her sister, this is what's crazy. Like I told you before, she got recast this season. That's funny, a body cast, recast. But yeah, she got recast. The very first one was Hattie Preston from season 1. She was bigger, had red hair. And the new one is Jerry Jane Pears. And so she's a whole lot skinnier. So to explain why she looks dramatically different, they just said she had a full body like plastic surgery makeover. So once she's out of the cast, she dyes her hair blonde and she looks completely different. And her sister noticed that her voice sounds different. The new actress doesn't even try to act like the original like actress. No longer is she acting like a hag, she's just acting completely different. But other than that, she has absolutely nothing to do once she's out of like, the body cast. And then she's written completely off the show, and neither one of them make another appearance after this. It is insane, and I blame Mark for this. Rachel, Helena's personal assistant, has a lot more to do this season than she did last season. Don't get me wrong, she doesn't really have no storylines of her own, but she's there a whole lot more and she appears in more episodes and she has a lot more dialogue. She's Helena's confidant, giving her advice and stuff like that when she really needs it. Also, she will legit do anything for Helena no matter what it is. Because we now find out she's a dominatrix and stuff, and we get to see her dominating. She's doing it to the prime minister, an overweight man. Why? Because Helena wants this guy in her services. Helena wants to be the queen and everything and take power from Cyrus. She can do that with the help of the prime minister. So she has Rachel seduce this man and everything. However, when she starts to seduce him more and give him her underwear and stuff, something happens. They walk in on him and he's completely laying on his stomach on the desk and he's completely dead. So Helena has to retrieve her underwear and she plans on seducing like the new prime minister. But there's a problem. The new deputy prime minister is a woman. Her name is Rainey. And her and Helena do not get along. So this is now a nice little like foil for that of Helena. A little enemy for her to have. Even to the point of Helena trying to bribe her with shoes, but she's all like, no, I'm not allowed to take bribes and stuff like that. And so Helena is like screwed. Also, Rainey is trying to get the Liam to try and get him to be some type of like ambassador overseas and stuff. Now, what's crazy is that this little cat and mouse game that her and Helena have, it ends after this season because Rainey is written completely out of the show. Wilhelmina. Wilhelmina is played by Genevieve Gaunt. And she has a odd role this season, one that's not really explained all that well, but she'll have a bigger role in season 3 and 4, mostly season 4, because she barely appears in season 3. Now, I didn't know this at first. The actress is from one of the earlier Harry Potter movies. She plays one of Malfoy's like mean best friends, the female one and everything. So far in this season, it's weird. She just appears at like a gathering where she's like a waitress and she just smiles and talks to Liam in a very like kind of, hey, be my friend kind of way. Then after that, she completely disappears, only for her to meet him again. They have a couple of drinks, they hang out. She's the potential love interest for him and even parties with him on like his birthday. But other than that, nothing really happens between these two. And it's kind of odd because it's kind of like, okay, they're building her up to be a main character, but they're not doing much for her this season. And she kind of disappears next season. But like I said before, she'll have a bigger role in the 4th. So Ophelia, she is completely written out of the show except for one episode this season. Now remember, she's the love interest of season 1, the American girl. Her father is a British head of security and her mom died and everything. And at the end of season 1, like she was involved in a love like square with Liam, Nick, and like Gemma. And so she dated Liam to later date Nick and then went back to Liam, but Jenna was in the way. When she went to America for like a dance audition, she made it. It turns out that Gemma's the one who organized this and made the judges keep her over there. So Liam, all sad and depressed about what's going on and everything, he flies to America unexpectedly to see her. And right off the bat, she's being rude to him for some bizarre reason. He later finds out why. She's now with Nick 2 months later. Because before, she wasn't even returning his calls and not even her father's calls. So that's what made Liam go on over there. So he is heartbroken and stuff. But she moved on because she found out that somebody from England is the one who got her, like, on the dance what recital thing or whatever it's called. She assumes it's Liam and everything, wanted to keep her over there, so she's been pissed at him ever since. But he tells her it wasn't him. She'll never find out who it was, and he'll never find out who it was, but it was Gemma and everything. So this complete storyline is just kind of odd and up in the air because they don't even find out it's Jenna, and Jenna's not even in the show anymore whatsoever. And also, Ophelia would never find out that Marcus, Liam's bodyguard from last season, is in love with her and stuff. So they part ways, and that's that. She's completely gone from the show. I will miss her because she was an interesting character last season. And every interaction she had with Liam, there was certain music that would play. Her dialogue would get kind of odd, almost like princess fairy tale like. And it was just like fascinating, and it introduced a nice dynamic in the show that is now gone. Brandon. So Brandon will have he actually will guest star in season 2, 3, and 4. He was a mercenary hired for making Robert's plane disappear. Robert was the next in line after King Simon died. And so he was hired by the same person that killed Simon. Basically, what it is, while he was in the air traffic controller room and everything, he just, made it so that the prince's plane will crash. Now, he reveals all this because Jasper is looking for him. But it turns out that he's actually following Jasper because he thinks Jasper's trying to kill him. With all this weird stuff happening, he thinks that somebody in the royal, who's working for the royals and everything, is coming to get him because of what he did. Lucius. So Cyrus hired Lucius to kill Alistair because of the whole scandal thing of Helena having an affair. So he had 2 guards go and shoot Alistair, but apparently the death was faked. He didn't know that and stuff. So he's been working with Cyrus this entire time, but it turns out he's actually for Team Helena. He's in love with her of all things, as old as that man is. And so when, something happened, I forget what. Oh, Helena fired him once he confessed what Cyrus had him do and everything. So since what's his name, Ted Price, the head of security, can't find out who killed the king, he has Lucius lie and say it was him because the people needed a fall person. So he does that and he goes to jail. But Helena is convinced it wasn't him. Then Jasper saw footage of Lucius in the castle the night that Simon got killed. So they know it's not him. And so Helena tells him, I'm freeing you from jail since I know you didn't do it, blah, 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 blah. But he just can't live with himself because he can't live not being in servitude to the royals and everything and being next to Helena's side. So, since Helena thinks Alistair is dead, she goes to this place they used to hook up at, only to find him hiding out there. And he told her he's been laying low because of what happened. He gives her his blood and tells her straight up, get the twins tested. I want to see if they're mine. If they are, I'll come and be with you. And if not, we're done. So she eventually does get the test, but she knows, like, he's not the father, but there's always the possibility he could and stuff like that. So Imogen was a girl that like Eleanor saw in rehab last season, and this season she got her life completely together and stuff, right? And so turns out that her new boyfriend who's helping her is some type of like pimp and a very bad man. So she needs Eleanor's help, and Eleanor helps her out, and it's a very dangerous like situation that happens when Eleanor tries to help her. Thankfully, Eleanor's new bodyguard and Jasper is there to the rescue, and Helena gave Imogen some like diamond necklaces so she can start a life over and be away from all this bad stuff. Beck. So Beck is like friends with like Robert and longtime friends of like Liam and stuff. And he's Eleanor's like love interest from last season. This was the mystery married man that just popped out of nowhere. Thankfully, there's a resolution to this, and it's just not up in the air. That's one of the things about season one that bugged me. Things will happen just out of nowhere, and you don't know what happened after that. So basically, he left his wife to be with Eleanor. And everything's good until he realizes Eleanor is still doing drugs and still drinking heavily. He does not like that. And it causes a rift in their relationship to where he leaves her and stuff. And this causes her to spiral completely out of control a little bit, to be sad and depressed because she loves him, but he just can't be with her and stuff. James Hill is a new bodyguard to that of Eleanor. He's older, he's wise, he gives her advice. He helps her during her like troubled time, giving her advice and just being there and being kind. It's interesting that he's able to pull her out her funk. Mandy slash Samantha. So Samantha is an American girl who meets Eleanor when she's upset over the whole Beck thing. So those two end up partying together, doing drugs together, and end up dating. And Eleanor is just falling all kinds of in love with her. Turns out Samantha is friends with Jasper. Both of them are jewel thieves and everything, and that is why he is there in London. They planned on stealing this certain jewel in the royal house. And when Jasper ghosted her, she decided to do the job herself. Eventually, Eleanor finds out, and she's completely wrecked by this so much that she just gives them the jewels and tell them to leave. Jasper tries his best to make Samantha to go back and be all like, look, I was stupid, I'm sorry, please forgive me, all this other crap. Because him and Samantha have been going back and forth with the whole he wants her to leave and leave Eleanor alone thing, because they're trying to redeem him from last season. Eventually he gets the jewels back and we'll never see her again. So Jasper is the American jewel thief and con artist who pretends to be British. This season, like I said before, he is no longer Eleanor's bodyguard, but he's been stalking her for 2 months to keep an eye on her, and she doesn't like it, and she makes him leave her alone, only for him to later get his title back as bodyguard. And he's actually Liam's bodyguard this season. Him and Liam spend a lot of time together to where him and Eleanor do not. And it's weird seeing him and Liam hang out because they act like buds and everything. And it's even funnier when Jasper starts hiding guns in Liam's room, similar to what he does to Eleanor. Because Liam's all like, you hid a gun in my room. It's like, yes, I hid 4. And so he is the one investigating this murder because Ted Price isn't taking it all that serious. And so, he is the one who finds out that, what did I say that dude name was? The older dude who likes Helena. He finds out it's not him. And he's going from point A to point B to point C. And he helps Liam unveil who really killed Simon and stuff. He is madly in love with that of Eleanor, and when she breaks down at her birthday party after finding out why Jasper's there and why Samantha is there, she just completely loses it and everything. And so, like, it hurts him knowing that he keeps hurting her. And of course, she tells Liam for Jasper to get sucker punched by Liam and everything. But eventually, those two do reconcile at the end because he does help solve the murder. Prudence. Prudence is the maid that kept getting assaulted by Cyrus in the last season, and it was revealed at the end that she was pregnant. She also was a confidant of the King Simon and stuff. And so she kept telling her child, soon you'll be the new king of like England and stuff like that. And so you think you'll see a heck of a lot more of her this season, but no. She shows up to Cyrus' place and is all like, look, I'm pregnant with your baby and he's gonna be the future king and blah blah blah, or I'm gonna rat you out for how you got me pregnant, aka assault. And so he just doesn't want nothing to do with her. Like, I don't care. And talking about like, when she's all, I think she says something like, something about freedom or free speech or something like that. And he tells her straight up, if you want like free speech, move to like America. And so she disappears completely from like, the show. Wait, my bad. She wasn't showing just now because she's only 2 months. Months down the line, she is more showing, and he shows up at her place in the middle of the season. Like, oh my God, you are pregnant. And then she disappears again. It's like, where is she at? Because she snuck into the castle because she still had friends that work there. But it's like you think she's gonna be having like a bigger role, but she doesn't. Anyways, at some point, after the new girl that disappears that Cyrus likes, Cyrus shows up with Prudence and everything's all like, I'm getting married to her and she's carrying my son. And so in the prenup, she had him give the line of succession to her newborn son and not his older daughters. But then in a crazy twist, Helena goes to her and be like, Cyrus is evil and blah, 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 but she doesn't care. Turns out she's working with Helena and everything. When Helena finds out about what Cyrus did to Alistair, she makes Prudence go away. And so, like, even though they're married and everything, well, technically they're not because the pastor was fake, hired by that of Helena. She tells Cyrus straight up, you got rid of, like, my lover, Alistair, and I'm getting rid of your baby mama and your child and everything. So Prudence is completely written off the show, and I'm just kind of like, I bet Mark had something to do with that. It doesn't explain why she kept disappearing from like this season. Violet, she's a maid that works for Cyrus and takes pity on him when he has cancer. She is the only person nice to him, and she's generally nice. Why exactly, we don't know. She doesn't want nothing from him. She's just nice and likes him. She does look like the Prudence actress, just a tiny bit in the face, not the eyes and certainly not the lips, but they do have a similarity to them. And it's odd that they will replace one maid with another and have it be a completely different character. So Cyrus falls in love with her and she sees the evil things he does, but she doesn't care. They're about to get married, but the Grand Duchess gets rid of her. They drug her and put her in a car and she gets into a car accident. And this breaks Cyrus's heart, but then he later goes for Prudence and everything and just completely forgets about her. Now, spoiler alert, she's not dead. She will show up in the finale of season 4, and when Cyrus sees her, he's completely shocked because he thought she was dead this entire time. Jeffrey Stewart is a man that is causing problems for the royal family. He hates them and wants to expose them as murderers because his sister Dominic was murdered by someone. Dominic, his sister, was King Simon's original girlfriend until Helena showed up. Then all of a sudden, Dominic's horse got drugged and threw her off and she died. He's been wanting vengeance ever since, but he has a hard time trying to pin it on them. But he knows they're responsible somehow. He is the one responsible for the falling dominoes symbol, a necklace that was on Liam when he was drunk last season, and also a light symbol that was on the fence that Helena saw last season, and also this season or last season, I can't remember, somebody burnt falling dominoes in the grass, and the Grand Duchess is all like, we took one of theirs, they take two of ours. And nobody knew what the world like she was talking about at first. So he's working with King Simon's murderer to expose them, and he gets video footage of the person who like killed his sister Dominic. Now, spoiler alert, he dies in the first episode of season 3. Cyrus kills him and everything. Grand Duchess Alexandra, played by Joan Collins. So, when the twins are confronting Helena about the killing of Dominic, they think it's her, but then the Grand Duchess comes in and said it was her. She says she did it to give Helena a better life and everything. So it turns out she's the one who drugged that horse and made that girl die. And the twins and even Helena are very shocked, and they kick her completely out of the house. I couldn't believe it was her. I was hoping it was Helena because of how scandalous Helena is, but like I said before, they are trying to redeem Helena. Ted Price. So he is Ophelia's father. And this season we see him drinking, and when he drinks, he's having hallucinations of his dead wife. And so he is still trying to investigate to see who killed like Simon and stuff. And then all of a sudden, Jeffrey comes to him in the castle and is all like, I know you killed Simon. It turns out he did. Now, Jeffrey didn't know. He just said that hoping to get a reaction from him. So yes, Ted Price killed King Simon, stabbed him twice. But why? Well, it has to do with his dead wife. We get a flashback, but we also get a throwaway line last year, where his wife got too close to the royal family and somebody tried to kill the king, and she ended up getting hit and she ended up dying. He's been wanting revenge ever since because the royal family is like horrible, and he feels like his wife's death is the royal family's fault. So he is the one, like, he knows where the king goes whenever he walks around at night. So he ended up stabbing him. I do wonder if this is the planned idea all along, or there's something new they came up with, because he acted like he didn't know nothing last season. So he starts to work with Jeffrey and stuff like that. And when Jeffrey's niece goes to Liam and everything, and they find out all about Dominic and stuff like that, and who killed what's his name, because Jasper recovered footage from, like, you know, the park where the king got stabbed. So Liam is bent on wanting to shoot and kill Price, but instead they go to like this arena outside, a field arena, and Ted, along with that of Jeffrey, is going to expose the Grand Duchess for killing his sister. But they swapped the video footage for the one of Ted Price killing the king. After this, Liam doesn't even have to kill him because the people in the arena beat Ted Price literally to death. They literally just beat the stuffing out of him and he dies. And so, like, it's reported that Ophelia, after finding this out, she pretty much fled underground to keep a low profile. But we never see her after that one interaction early on in the season. I am still very shocked that he is the one who straight up murdered the king. And so after this, Elena's bodyguard takes over as head of security, James. King Cyrus. So Cyrus did not act at all how I thought he would be. He's crooked, evil, and vain, but I assumed he would do more of that this season, but instead they tried to redeem him with comedy. he has cancer. And instead of taking it serious and instead of be the entire thing that happens in the season, it is wrapped up very quickly and used just for comedic effect. This is what leads him to his maid, and he actually falls in love with her. It's interesting to see him fall in love with somebody because he really is very selfish. We know he wants his mom's approval, but like she won't give it, and she mistook him for that of Simon because she has Alzheimer's. So we know he wants to be loved, and he's jealous of his older brother and stuff because his brother gets to be king. He treats his entire family like that of crap. And so this softer side we see of him is brought on by that of the maid. And he wants nothing to do with Prudence until the maid disappears. I assume we will get more evil type stuff from him, which I was hoping for, but we don't. Kind of like a Scar thing from that of the Lion King. Now, he does do some slight evil stuff like nasty to the subjects of England, and he runs over Simon's glass memorial. And he does something very wicked in season 3 opener when Helena's trying to find out who is the twins' real father, and she goes looking for the bones of Simon, only for Cyrus to have them burnt. And so, like, and it's weird. It's like, even though he loves his new maid, when she goes missing and everything, he later just goes back with Prudence. And him and Helena, I assume, will be fighting back and forth all season, but they don't. And they only have a couple of like hit and misses, like cat and mouse games here and there, because they're trying to one up each other with the whole, who get to be ruling England and with the whole prime minister stuff. I don't know, his reign just didn't make me all that happy. I was expecting a whole lot more. Queen Helena, they really tried to redeem this season. Like, she's no longer jealous of her daughter, and they're no longer fighting with each other. In fact, they reconciled because she had Eleanor go ride her old horse when she was younger. And so she's trying her best to get in her kids' good favor because she knows she messed things up, and especially with that of Eleanor and sleeping with that of Jasper. Doing that was one of the lowest of low things, but she does manage to crawl back into her daughter's good graces. Other than that, we do see a softer side because she really does love Alistair, and she really and truly wants to be with him. But, of course, I already told you what happened to that. Now, she does do her typical selfish stuff, but it's to gain power. She manipulates that of the prime minister. She tries to bribe the prime minister. That whole war thing she had with the deputy prime minister didn't last as long as I hoped it would. And so, like, the whole thing with her and Cyrus could have been a heck of a lot better and a heck of a lot more juicier. But it was kind of interesting to see what she did to Cyrus towards the end by getting rid of his Prudence and his child and everything, which we'll never see again. Now, her interactions with her mother is quite interesting. Her mom can't stand her, makes fun of the way she looks and everything like that. And, she starts to see that, oh no, I'm becoming just like my mother, and that's how I treat my daughter. It was fascinating to see them try to redeem her, but also keep her to her maniacal kind of way. Princess Eleanor, also known as Lynn. So you feel really sad for her this season. She just can't seem to make it work with nobody. Like, at first she's trying to figure out who killed Simon until Bet comes around. The one other man she's ever loved other than Jasper. But of course, her drug habit is too strong for him. And it leads her in the arms of that of Samantha. And when you see those two interact, she's like a wild child in a free spirit. She's having the best time of her life, doing what she wants to do and stuff like that. But also Samantha doesn't really like her drug habit. And it's to the point, I think maybe it was Eleanor that broke up with Beck. I can't quite remember. But anyway, her drug habit is a massive problem. So the whole her and Jasper thing, you just want those two to be together, but they rarely interact this season, and she really does not want to be around him. He betrayed her in the biggest way by sleeping with the mother. And so when he does leave her alone this season, when she finds out why Jasper's really there and why Samantha's really there, it's like she has two people after the same goal originally and just completely broke her heart. She did care for Jasper. She did care for Samantha. This completely wrecks her on her birthday to where she set something on fire so the ceiling sprinklers can go off. And she's just lying in something like a chair, completely drunk off her butt, drenched in water, and she's just completely given up. And she's even to the point where she didn't even call the cops on Samantha or Jasper. She just wants them gone. This is how bad she's hurting inside. She lost her father, then told she's not even related to him. Her mother are finally getting along, and it's one thing after another, and she just can't deal with it. But it's with the help of Imogen and the help of James that brings her around. Seeing how Imogen is and how Imogen turned her life around causes her to turn hers around, and she becomes a much better person, that with the advice of James and stuff. When it was time in the reveal of who killed Simon, she was supposed to press the button to reveal, that Ted is the one who killed them, but she couldn't press the button, and Jasper had to do it for her. She even doesn't even want her brother to kill like Ted, because she just feels like this violence is just never going to end if they keep constantly going back and forth to each other, trying to like kill each other and stuff. She's a very unique and interesting character. Liam is completely different from what he was last season. He had a little bit of what he was in last season and this season, but it was mostly because he was falling in love. Because he was falling in love, he was trying to be a better person. But as we all know, Ophelia does not want him. And so he realizes it is time to be the man his father wanted him to be. He sees how Cyrus is, and he just makes a speech one day, and the speech was so uplifting to the people of England that they started to rally behind him. Cyrus can see this, Eleanor can see this, and that of like Helena can see this. And so he just spends the entire season basically trying to find out who killed his father. He's trying to figure out what this whole fallen dominoes thing is, all while trying to be a voice to the people of England, since Cyrus is just so Cyrus. And so when he meets that of Geoffrey's niece and everything, no, it's not Geoffrey's niece. Maybe it's his. Yeah, it is the niece. Because it was Dominique's daughter and stuff. And, they befriend each other, and he finds out what happened to Dominic, and even shows the daughter like around the palace, being all like, if things were differently, this could have been yours. She records him as he's giving a heartfelt speech and everything, and she plays it for the people of England. This inspires Helena to do the right thing and find out who their father really is. And so, of course, Cyrus sees this and doesn't like it. And when he exposes Ted and everything, the people are firmly behind that of William, and they want him to be the next king. In a very shocking twist, we get like a flashback of young Robert when he was just a little kid. Then all of a sudden on the beach, we see a man, the back of his head and his hand starts to twitch. It's Prince Robert. He survived the plane crash. I was very shocked and surprised to see this because, the dude was like dead and everything supposedly. But this dude will cause so much interesting stuff in the next 2 seasons. I'm still shocked at like all the stuff that he does. So, yes, this season was not as scandalous as I hoped. It's a complete departure for the most part from season one. It has a little scandal here and there, some humor here and there, but it is mostly serious. And so, like, this is probably because of how the first season was reviewed, and many people had mixed feelings about it because they had the royal family acting as scandalous like never before. Rumors and stuff here and there, what you hear about the real royal family was intertwined a little bit in the story and stuff. Nevertheless, it does make for a very interesting season. At times, just slightly boring, but not too boring and stuff, because it still keeps you entertained. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.